afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the newest episode of Tea Time with Coach Felly. Today's tea is the dragon fruit oolong again. We're trying to finish this tea, and that is why I'm having it again today. So again, welcome to Tea Time with Coach Felly, and today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is developing or building a high-performance team. High-performance team. What are the ingredients when you want to build a high-performance team? I'm going to summarize this one in three main points. One is leadership, and the next one is going to be culture, the culture of the team. The third one is the skill set of the team members. Now, if we talk about these three areas, leadership, culture, and skill set, if you look at the companies in Singapore, which one do you think we will have the least problem with? You are right, it's probably going to be skill set. In Singapore, we are very developed. There's so many training providers available. You can even use your Skills Future money to do the training, right? There are so many opportunities to learn, and right now, after 2020, you can even do all these things online, and there's so many even free resources that are available. These vlog episodes included, where you can learn and get really valuable knowledge without really investing much. So skill set is probably going to be the least of our problem. But the other 2 points, leadership and culture, are going to be the key points where it will determine whether a team is going to be extremely motivated, great performance, great productivity, or just mediocre, or worse, not even performing up to their KPI. So now, if you were to think about your team in these three areas, leadership, do the leadership team members have very clear vision about where they want to go? So number one for the leaders is the clarity of their vision. Do they also have very clear sense of what kind of values they want the team members to have? They always say if you attract people, if you recruit people based on values alignment, culture alignment, people who can fit your team culture and people who embrace similar values as you, it will be a much more fulfilling and long-lasting relationship. I remember again, one of my favorite teams that I've ever built early in my corporate days, and I was thinking to myself when I was assigned to build the department, what kind of values do I want them to have? I wanted them to have the heart for the customers. That was number one. I wanted them to be team players, that they are not there to shine as an individual, but they are there to be part of a team, and they will feel proud to be part of the team. The other thing is, I want people who want to do their best for their family. So all these values are values that I embrace myself, and that was really why this team stayed with me for quite a long time, and they were very high performing. So the clarity of your vision, what is the team going to look like? What are they going to be able to deliver? As well as the values that they embrace is going to again determine whether this is going to be your high performing team at the end. This is only one part of the leadership. Again, I can talk about this topic forever, but let's just focus on one key point per area, right? So for one, number one is about the leadership having clarity on both their vision and values. Number two is the culture. Now, in the game of culture, I always talk about whether everyone knows what is expected of them in terms of how they're going to behave. Because a lot of times, you see, when we say we have our corporate values, it may be on the website, it may be on the wall in the office, but how many people do really embrace the values? How many people really behave according to the values? So culture is really about the norm, the day-to-day. How are you guys going to behave or do things around here? So if let's say we have the culture of being proactive, everyone can raise up their hand and volunteer for things, everyone can initiate idea, and they can propose this even to management or leadership without feeling threatened or without feeling like, oh, I should just keep quiet because if I say something the management doesn't like, I'll get into trouble. What are the different culture points in your organization that will help your team to become high performance? One of the culture points that I personally believe in for myself is that the team is more important than the individual, right? So it was team first. So that was one of the things that I always like to impose in the teams that I build, that the team is more important than the individual. And that is why team first was one of my culture point, where I want to see behaviors day to day that showcase that. So when one person, for example, can do the job, and again, this is based on real life situation where I have seen companies who retain certain people who are totally not team player, and it is okay if the guy sits there, does his job quietly, and he doesn't really disturb anyone else. But what happens if this person is in fact affecting other people and causing them to be less productive because he's not being a team player? But he can do his job, he's meeting his numbers, his hard numbers, his KPI. Do you still want to keep this person? So for this, to really get an understanding of this concept, I want to digress a little bit to this important concept of the boat. So I always say that a company or organization is really like the boat, right? And you, as the leader, as the business owner, as a leader in the corporation, you are like the captain of the ship. Now, as the captain of the ship, normally you will have three groups of people. The first group are the one rowing the boat according to where you want to go. So these are the guys that are doing above and beyond their call of duty. These are the guys that are doing more than what is expected. And most of the time, they are the ones that are passionate and they're probably emotionally connected to your vision and mission, and they embrace the belief that you believe. So this first group are the ones rowing the boat. Now the second group of people are the ones sitting on the boat. And these guys sitting on the boat may not necessarily be bad employees, but they will probably just do enough to stay. And while they're sitting on the boat, they may look around, and if they see another boat that looks to be more happening or more fun or sturdier, they may jump over to the other side. Now the third group of people are people who are doing less than what is expected, and these are people trying to sink your boat. Now again, it doesn't mean that this group of people are the ones that has zero performance. Sometimes they may be people who hit their hard numbers KPI, but they are not being team player. They spread negativity, or they cause the whole team dynamic to be awkward, and because of this, it is affecting the other team's productivity. Now as a boss, you may then ask me, but Fel, he is hitting his hard numbers KPI though. But if you think about this boat, and eventually you want this boat to reach the end destination, number one question I have for you will be, if you look at your boat, how many % of people do you think are rowing, sitting, and trying to sink your boat? And let's say we keep this guy because he's hitting his hard numbers KPI, but he's in fact trying to sink the boat. Like, he's being negative, he is refusing to cooperate with other team members, and other team members don't feel safe around him, and they are in fact feeling like he's a thorn on their side. What if, because of this one guy that you keep who's trying to sink the boat, a few of your rowers stop rowing? Isn't that interesting? Because I have seen that happen before, where the people rowing are a minority. In fact, worldwide statistics, they say that only 15% of your guys are rowing. It may be slightly higher after COVID, because now people feel that their jobs are a bit more precious and they're putting a little bit more effort. But if you think about this, if the people rowing are the minority, and now you put in a few people who are trying to sink the boat, and they may affect these people, and it causes them to stop rowing, how productive can your team be? Will that be a high performance team? Because the hard numbers KPI is related to the third ingredient, which is skill set. And as we have established early in this vlog episode, skill sets are the easiest to find. Skill sets are the easiest to train. When you want to really train culture, behaviors, mindset, it's going to be harder to change than training them to do a sales call, for example. So the three ingredients: leadership, culture, skill set. For skill set, my one pointer for this episode, building a high performance team, is to make sure that you pick guys whose strengths, whose qualities are really fitting what you want them to perform. So that way, when you train or upskill them, it will be related to something that they are naturally good at. that is usually something that can make them feel a lot more motivated instead of pushing them to do something that they just naturally hate or are against. Like my last episode, if you are forcing this guy who is totally against sales, give him all the training in the world, but you make him the salesperson, that may not be a great idea. So put people where they can shine, with some training, some guidance, with the right attitude, with the right culture and the right leadership. On the point of culture is to make sure that everyone in the boat really continues to row to the same direction. So for that to happen, working backwards, the leadership has to be clear to the whole team where the boat is heading. Clarity of your vision and values. So I hope this leadership culture skill set pointer is useful for you. Again, this is a topic that I can talk about for hours. So if you want to discuss a little bit more on this, or if you have further questions when it comes to building this high performance team, feel free to drop me a message, ask me for a chat. I would love to hear more from you. What are your challenges when it comes to building a high performance team? As well as what have you tried but may or may not have worked? And again, I would love to hear from you more, whether you leave it in the comment or you can just send a DM. A lot of people prefer to send DMs to me, I think maybe because they're a little bit shy, but I welcome both. And yes, please, if you find this useful, remember to comment, like, share this post to anyone who may need it. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. Back to my dragon fruit oolong tea. Ta-ta!